There is one secret trick to NoFap and achieving a long streak without relapsing that you probably have not heard before. It's mindfulness. I didn't want to waste your time, so there it was. It is mindfulness. Now you're probably thinking, what is that? Isn't that like meditation where I just have to clear my thoughts? Not exactly. So first off, welcome to the new channel. This is all about taking you through the simp to pimp transformation. I think NoFap is actually a big part of that. It has been for me. I'm going to explain exactly how I've done it, and you probably wouldn't even believe my streak. I don't even know what it is myself. It's become a normal part of my life that I don't even think about anymore. My throat is really dry today. Okay, so what is mindfulness? You've probably heard of it before, but you don't really understand. You've heard of mindful meditation, but those are actually two separate things combined. So for you to understand the one secret trick to NoFap, you have to first fully understand what mindfulness is. And I promise you it will help you, but you do have to just pay attention to this knowledge. Mindfulness is pretty much focus. You've heard it in meditation a lot where they say like, oh, it's being present in it's being here in the present moment, and it doesn't really make sense if you don't meditate. And then after meditating consistently for months and searching up extra knowledge online, I finally understood that mindfulness is pretty much focus. If you're mindful of something, you're focusing on that thing. So when you're eating, mindful eating, you are focusing on the food you're eating. So that should be obvious then how mindfulness does help with NoFap. If mindfulness increases focus and we have extra focus, then surely we can stick to our goals better. And that is 100% the case. Now, I'm going to give you my experience on this. When you're mindful, you stick to your goals. When you're mindful, it's like you get to have a pep talk, like a discussion with yourself about what's happening right now. So that moment just before you relapse, when you see a trigger and you're on that path of, are you going to do it or are you not going to do it? Mindfulness puts a brick wall there, and it has like the good version of you stood on top of that brick wall saying, wait, are you sure you want to do this? And it gives you a second chance before you dive deep into the relapse. And most of the time, because it just allows you some extra time before the actions, most of the time you choose the better action, which is to not go down that route, to not relapse. So you're thinking, great, mindfulness helps. It is the one secret trick, but how do I get mindfulness? How do I become more mindful? And that should now be obvious as well, mindful meditation. So you might have tried to meditate before. Most people have now. Most people, even in Western countries, have now heard the benefits of meditation. The majority of successful CEOs, millionaires, billionaires meditate. They have a daily meditation practice. If you don't have a daily meditation practice, you are missing out. I've been now meditating every single day for almost 3 months. Yeah, about two and a half months right now. And just recently, in the last few weeks, I've increased the duration of my meditation to at least half an hour every single day. Some days I'm even going above 1 hour now, and I can vouch for it myself. You probably don't trust me yet, that's okay, but just at least try this tactic. So you improve your mindfulness through meditation. Now, you have probably tried to meditate before and you didn't like it. Most likely you thought it didn't do anything, it didn't clear my mind. That is like such a mainstream Western look at meditation, that, oh, it's supposed to clear your mind. No. Meditation is not that. Meditation is not about clearing your mind and having zero thoughts. That's such a weird way to think about it. Even experienced meditators will not have zero thoughts. Someone who's been meditating for 20 years will have zero thoughts for maybe 1 minute, and that will be reaching a stage of enlightenment. Right now, I'm just about conscious of my thoughts, and I can tell that I have a new thought every 2 to 3 seconds. And I've been meditating since last year and since about 2.5 months ago every single day. So it's not about clearing your thoughts. So what is meditation about? Now, other people will tell you different things, but I made what I call the Mindfulness Framework. It's almost like a step-by-step process of meditation that I personally believe is the exact process of improving mindfulness. It's going to seem a little bit odd, but we're actually going to start in the bottom right corner of this framework. And this is realizations of unmindfulness. You will realize that you are unmindful. So you will just realize, oh, I was daydreaming about my my dog or the chores that I have to do or that memory from high school. Whether you're meditating or just going through your normal day, like doing chores, making food, you will actually start in this bottom right position here. Realizations of unmindfulness. Let's break it down. Unmindfulness just means you were not mindful. So in a sense, that means you were not focused on what is happening right now. So for even better understanding, that pretty much means that you were deep in thought about something. So this particular point here means that you realized you were deep in thought. So this is that moment you have when you actually think, oh, I've just been thinking about someone from high school, or I'm thinking about doing my chores a lot, or I'm overthinking about something. That is the realizations of unmindfulness. That upsets people. That makes people feel negative. Do not feel negative. That is such a good thing. I think one of the most common problems that people I've helped to meditate is that they view this negatively. Every single time they realize they were deep in thought and they weren't mindful, they're annoyed at it. But please don't be like that. This is a good thing, because this realizations of unmindfulness leads to the bottom left part of the framework here. This part in the bottom left is reconcentrating back on the present moment. I've made this bit yellow and also added 1 rep to this point. 1 rep means 1 repetition. So 1 cycle of this framework, I'm going to show you the rest of the framework soon, but 1 cycle of this is like 1 repetition, 1 bicep curl for your brain. So you want to get as many curls, you want to get as many reps in as possible. And that's why I think this framework is actually quite nice. It's quite easy for people to understand because I've compared it to exercise. I've compared it to lifting weights. We just want reps. So this bit in the bottom left, reconcentrating on the present moment, literally just means that you did realize that you weren't mindful and that you were distracted. And now you're just going to focus back onto something that's happening in the present moment. So this is where we use a focus point. A focus point is just something that's happening right now. It can be what you hear, the birds outside, your parents arguing. It can be what you feel. Maybe your muscle feels sore. My chest feels very sore. I hit some tricep dips on the rings yesterday. So when I meditate, I literally focus on different things. The most common one is your breath. You can feel your breath in and out of your nose, of your chest. So that's what people say to focus on. But personally, I switch around. At first, I'll follow my breath, and then I'll think, okay, what is the muscle that is most sore right now? And I just feel it. Sometimes I'll end up flexing it. See that chest flex? So sometimes I'll end up flexing that muscle and I'll just feel it. And that feeling something that's happening right now is mindfulness. Mind-muscle connection is mindfulness. So the bottom left part, the reconcentrating on the present moment, is the point that you get 1 rep. As soon as you reconcentrate back onto the present moment, you have achieved 1 cycle, 1 rep, 1 bicep curl for the brain. So just keep doing this same process. So the top 2 parts of the framework I'll show you now. These are the bits that I feel like people get quite confused on. So you can see that reconcentrating on the present moment leads to being mindful of the present moment. That should make sense, right? That's why I've showed you the bottom bit first. When you are mindful of the present moment, that inevitably will lead to your mind wandering into thought. So you're focusing on your breath or the muscle that's sore, and your mind will go into thoughts. You'll start thinking about high school, about college, about what work you have to do, what work you didn't do, what your diet's like, what your goals are, what someone said to you. You'll think about so many different things. But in my opinion, this block on the top right, this is somewhat unconscious, subconscious, because when it happens, you don't actually realize you are deep in thought until you realize you are deep in thought. I know that's weird, but so that's why I split these up into 4 parts, because on the top right, we have the point that you actually went deep into thought, but the exact moment that you go deep in thought, you don't actually know that you did. You just, you think about it and you're just analyzing whatever memory you're thinking about, but then you realize, then you get a realization of unmindfulness. In my opinion, those 2 parts are split up. I find myself thinking about something for at least, it seems like a few seconds or so, and then I realize I was thinking about that thing for at least a few seconds. So they're 2 separate parts. So here is the mindfulness framework explained, following this cycle whilst you're meditating or just going out your normal day. And yes, you can literally follow this cycle whilst just doing your normal day. And like I said, you will start in the bottom right position, the realizations of unmindfulness. You'll find yourself just realizing, oh, I was deep in thought. And that's when you start the cycle. So when you're next making your food, you're lifting weights, or you're doing anything, as soon as you get a realizations of unmindfulness, you realize that you were deep in thought. Quickly, just focus back onto the present moment. That's 1 rep. And be happy that you got that realization of unmindfulness. So that is how you improve mindfulness. And I promise you that having more increased mindfulness very drastically helps with NoFap. It's like having a teammate. It's like actually having a clear head when the idea of NoFap and a trigger and a relapse potential come up. It is very powerful. In my opinion, mindfulness is honestly the cure to any addiction. I'm beginning to feel more and more like that's the case. The more mindful you are, the more just present and focused you are on what the things you want to do. If you're more mindful when you scroll past a relapse potential, a trigger, say an Instagram model, you will just be more focused on your NoFap goal. A lot of the times when I discuss NoFap, guys tell me that it just kind of happened all of a sudden. The relapse felt somewhat uncontrollable. The phrasing that a lot of people use is, I could not make it to X days. I could not make it to the 3rd day. I couldn't do it. And obviously you could. You have the power, you have the capabilities to not check off. But the reason why I think a lot of guys are saying they couldn't is because mentally they couldn't. Physically, you can control your hand not to like touch your dick. You can control that. But mentally, as soon as you've cracked into the abyss of the black hole, the dark hole, it's too late. You're already en route for the jackathon that's about to happen because of that Instagram model. Mindfulness puts a brick wall there. And so whatever trigger you saw just has a lot less effect on you. Mindfulness is the one secret trick that no one is talking about for NoFap. So yeah, if you found this video helpful, leave a like. This is my first ever video on this channel, and other videos I will make will be quite similar. So if you liked this and you found it beneficial, make sure you subscribe. I hate saying that, that feels so cringe. Like, oh, smash that like button, subscribe and turn on the post notifications, but it helps me, and if it helps you, that's even better. Take care.